Perfect, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start sharing my screen and we'll get started on let's have this. Perfect. Okay, so welcome to Small Business Grants. And has anybody applied for a business grant at all? And had any success? No. Okay, thank you, Marsha. Okay, so we're going to talk about small business grants, and I'm going to take you through the best ways to apply for them and how to get yourself ready for them. I'm going to just go through the Digital Solutions Program. So just quickly, for anybody that isn't currently doing the Digital Solutions Program, I do encourage you to sign up for it. You get 7 hours of personalized mentorship for just $44. So it's a really good opportunity to extend your learning of anything in the digital world. And we can teach anything from Canva to social media and digital marketing. So if you haven't signed up, then please do so, and I'll put a slide up where you can. But just to let you know, you can sign up at businessstation.com.au. So a little bit about me. I've lived on the Gold Coast for actually 15 years nearly, and I've worked in marketing for over 25 years, and I've worked both here in Australia and also in the UK. And I've worked in all areas of marketing. So I've worked in shopping centres, I've worked in agencies, I run a small digital agency. So I've got lots of experience in all areas. So if you need any tips as we go through this about specifics, good morning, Mariam. If you need any specifics, then just let me know and we'll go through. If you want to pop any questions into the chat, if I don't spot them straight away, just bear with me and I'll have a look back through them as we go through. So these are, excuse me, keep coughing as well. I had COVID a couple of weeks ago and I've been left with a cough, so excuse me. Tips for success. So these are the things that we're going to go through. We're going to have a look at how you find funding, because there's millions of dollars in grants every year, and it's just knowing where to look for them. Successful grant applications are really backed by a solid preparation, so we're going to have a look at that. We're going to make sure that you dedicate enough time and resources to the task. There's no magic formula for doing this, it's just some basic principles. And then we'll have a look at you know, how to get through on the day. So funding. These are some of the places that you can get, and I encourage you to sign up. So have a look at this slide for a second. We've got the Australian Business Licence and Information Service. We've got Queensland Government Grant Finder tool. We've got the Australian Government Grants and Programs tool. And there's also Coronavirus Business Assistant. There's so many different places that you could look. And so Grant Connect is one that you can actually look for current grant opportunities as well. So take down that list. If you want me to put that slide back up or send me or want you to tell me more about that, let me know and I'll answer that for you as we go through. So let's start with what we're going to look at. So these are the tips and tricks for grant writing. We're going to look at legibility. So follow the steps through the application process. Make yourself familiar with all the documents in the application pack, including the program guidelines, the funding round summary, and any supporting material that you might need, and get a stat deck from a JP in the community. We'll talk about that in a bit more detail later on. You should also consider how to tailor information to be relevant to the specifics of the grant. So if it's like, for example, a digital or a marketing grant, then make sure that you have looked through for all the keywords that they're putting into that document. Just go through and highlight them and make sure when you're putting your grant application in that you refer to those keyword phrases that they're using. So it might be extra staff, or how is this going to increase your revenue, those kind of things. So make sure you talk to those points when you're doing the grant application. As I said, make sure that you look through all the guidelines. Make sure there'll always be application guidelines. There'll usually be terms and conditions, frequently asked questions. You usually get an application sample. And then with your statutory declaration template, which you can get from a JP, but you can also download online, you are basically certifying yourself to say the information you're giving is correct. And that gets certified in front of a JP. And you can find a JP in most shopping centres, usually they're Monday to Friday, usually around sort of 10 till 2 or 10 till 1. And you can just go along and get them to certify the documents. So just take ID and things like that with you. Okay, so let's have a look at the process. So when you're doing a grant application, just keep it logical and easy to read. Remember that the person reading it is a human being. Now, what happens first with a grant application is it goes through a computerized system, which is why you need to be aware of those keywords. Make sure you use those keywords from the guidelines because it helps with the assessment of whether you're meeting the criteria. And the computer system will pick out those keywords, so do make sure you use them. Always write factually and avoid using words like hope, could, might. Always say, this is what the funding is going to do for our business. Try and keep your answers short and easily understood, because once it's gone through the computer system and got through that stage, then it will go to a human being, a grant assessor, to actually approve the grant. And they are looking at hundreds of these. So you can imagine if you keep it simple, apply consistent formatting, headings and subheadings, bullet points, lay it out really nicely, font style and sizes are all similar, etc., then it makes it easier for them to read and they're more likely to approve it. So just make sure when you're doing that. Now, I always say to everybody, prepare your grant in a Word document. So on the, because you can't pre-fill. So what happens is the grant is actually, you're given a couple of weeks notice of the grant and when the live date will happen. And then you will, you'll basically get that 2 weeks to get everything ready. Now, once you could get one ready now and just change the terminology in it, but we can start, I'll show you how to fill in that information. And you want to include, as I said, make sure that you're including those keywords because it's really important for the grant application. So demonstrate your likelihood of success, as I've said. Write unique answers to all the questions. Some questions might sound similar. You might have to include budget details and outline the key drivers of risk and uncertainty and how you'll manage them. Identify the range of product outcomes that may be achieved based on best or worst case scenario. And make sure that you provide a short assessment of the likelihood of any scenarios that you've got. You're going to want to provide project budget details. So that again, you want to go out and get some quotes. They usually specify how many quotes they want. Now, it can be a little confusing with what the pricing is, and you do need to check it because in the first round of grant funding for the digital grant, the $5,000 one, they said that they wanted grants over $5,000. In the last grant, third round that went through recently, I had one client come back to me and say that she got turned down because her grant was over her quote was over 5,000. So I don't know quite what happened with hers because I had other clients that went through and they had budgets way over that. So you don't really, make sure you read it clearly and understand it, because if they're saying they want it over 5,000, if you think about it, you're not just going to put a website quote in for 5,000. You want to put in a realistic quote. So just make sure you read that and then include a glossary at the end of your application if you're using any words that might be unfamiliar, so that you can kind of guide your reader through the process that you're applying for. Eligibility can look something like this. So they might say things like you have to have less than 20 employees. Obviously, you've got to have an active ABN. You might have to be registered for GST. Most of them say that you do. If you're not registered for GST, I do know that you can register yourself for GST. for the grant application, and then at the end of the first quarter you will drop back down, if you want to, back to not being registered for GST. So speak to an accountant about that and find out what's the best way to do that. Depends on how much it's going to cost you in sales and GST as to whether it's worth registering for it. So if the GST amount in that first quarter is going to cost you more than what you're going to get in a $5,000 grant, then obviously it's not worth doing. Sometimes they'll say that you have to have a head office in a certain location, and then you're going to have, they're going to say things like your anticipated turnover and things like checking your directors aren't insolvent, and gather everything together. So have a really good read through the minute it comes out, so you've got all the tips that you need to fill in. And with the gathering the details together, you probably want to get together a list of the products and services that you offer, your experience and skills, the key personnel that you have, and if you're going to, if it's asking how will this increase staff for the business or affect the local community to you, then they're asking about driving more business, so that means taking on more staff, which is beneficial to the local community. So think of all those things. Provide project description with aims and objectives. You'll probably have to put in a scope of works, and I'll show you how to do that. And that's going to just detail how you're going to spend the grant money. And then, you know, you gather together your financials, your quotes, your budget, your invoices, and allow enough time to lodge the application. And when you lodge the application, and I probably will repeat this later on, it is a bit like applying for concert tickets. You need to be ready on the day. If they say they're opening at 9 or 10, you be ready by half an hour before, with everything laid out beside you, with your Word document open so that you can copy and paste the information in, so that you're all ready to go, and it's just a question of uploading the details into the application process. Don't ever sign up, wait for, you know, an hour or so to go past, because you just won't get in. They're too popular. So some of the application details. So DESBIT collects your information. So some of the things that you might need to consider are putting in your business name and ABN, your address, phone numbers, contacts, your bank details. And then you can go to the ANZIC and check for, you'll have to do an ANZIC check for your industry and sector information. And then you're going to be asked, does your business identify as working in tourism or NDIS possibly? How many years it's been trading, how many employees you currently have, and the products and services that you currently offer. You do usually have to set up a Smarty Grants account as well, and you do that prior to the application. So read the terms and conditions when you're doing this. So with your financial details, the people ask me this all the time: what's the best way to do an expected turnover and an expected gross profit? So you've got to work out, I suppose, what you maybe take your recent quarter, month period, depends how long you've been trading, and then subtract that most recent period from the prior period, and then divide the result by that same prior period, and it will give you a real life world example to illustrate. So imagine your monthly revenues for February were, say, $1,000, and revenues for February 22 were $950. So you start with subtracting, giving a year-over-year difference. So that's going to give you, say, a $50 difference, because you just take $1,000 and you take off $950, giving you 50. Then you divide that 50 by the 950, which gives you a growth rate of 0.05%. And then you multiply that, 5%, which gives you, so you just multiply it by a percentage and you'll get the 5% growth. So don't oversell yourself. Make sure that you're fairly realistic. So I would always under promise and over deliver, the usual phrase. So check and look back on periods. Now, if you don't have anything to go by, then maybe even just do it by a week. See what this week was like compared to last week, and just pick your, don't oversell it. So don't pick the best week to go against. Just compare and see what you're hoping to achieve, and that will get you a fairly realistic figure. Then we've got to build a strong case. So to give yourself the best chance of success and to present a convincing business case, you should describe things like your business and activities, your project idea and how it aligns with the objectives of the grant program, what activities and outputs your project will deliver, why your project needs the funding, why it represents value for money. You're trying to tell them why should they give the money to you rather than the next person. So how will you successfully bring the project to completion? And the benefits of your project to your business, and include the long-term, broader regional and community benefits, so creation of jobs, preservation of existing jobs in the region, that kind of thing. Mention community, mention region. How likely your project is to stand out from other applications. So who else might be seeking funding for a similar project idea? How are you likely to stand out for them? How you are competitive in your sector. So a grant assessor will want to see that you're serious about remaining competitive. And so, you know, the funding, and I'm going to show you some examples of this, but the funding will allow you to build, in this example, build a website that has the advantage of giving you competition, allowing you to compete with your competition, and maybe adding in socials, maybe adding in new content, adding in keywords. So speak, whatever you're doing, speak to an expert in that area and ask what are the main things you need to be including when you're building, say, a website. And then include and explain the involvement of any third parties. So if you've got a financial advisor or business coach or an accountant, and specifically address why their involvement is significant to you. So demonstrate that you've sought that expert advice and that you've applied those learnings, because ultimately we want a unique selling point for us to get the grant funding. So application rules, they will say things like start grant funding activity in less than a month. So that's from when you actually get the grant. So the grant will be paid into your account, and then they will say that you have to start the grant funded activity in so many weeks. And then they'll say complete the grant funded in so many months. So it might be, in the case of the website and the $5,000 digital grants, that would start within 1 month and finish within 4. And then you've got to deliver the activity as per that agreement. So you must do that. When you're getting your quotes, make sure that your quotes are realistic. They're not just made up, because they will audit and you could get pulled up if you don't do what you say you're going to do with the funding. And that's what your stat dec's basically saying as well, that you agree to spend the money in the way that you're saying you will in the application. So this is an example of a scope of works, and I've got another sheet that talks to the action points of it. But this was an example used in my first round of grant funding with one of my clients. And so you can see here that it says describe the grant funded activity. So we've got here, this project involves the redesign and development of this particular company website. This company launched 8 months prior to COVID. When we launched the business, we had 0 clients and very little funds for marketing. In today's competitive market, having a digital business is essential. The key to a successful website is to have easy navigation with high quality SEO-friendly content and responsive design. And she got all that information by talking to me, and I told her what the main points are of creating a responsive website. You don't need to go above and beyond, because you only get about 200 words. And this is about 117. And then you say the funding will be used to create a new website structure with fresh new content and a blog section. The website will reflect our brand, adding credibility. Testimonials and reviews will be added to establish that credibility, and an opt-in will be added to encourage visitors to leave their details. So you've specified what you're going to do with the money. So I said to you I'd show you what a project scope looks like. So the activities, so website design templates, 2 to 3 options based on a new brand architecture. She just had new branding done. Photography of staff and the use of new stock photos that complement it. Creation of 2,500 words of new content. An update of the control panel to a WordPress site to incorporate the new design templates. And then deliverables that the website will be deployed on a requested on her domain, and the updated website will direct the clients to our page so that they can see the insurance products that we offer. And then provide company brochures so they can be emailed to prospective clients so that they can see the services that we offer. So the brochures would be digital and on the site. Timeline. So it will be relaunched within 4 months, because that's what they asked for, of receiving the approval letter. And then we will be able to verify the success of the grant funding through Google Analytics. So you're saying that you understand how to see if something is successful by using the analytics. It will show traffic to the site, and they're also going to measure the inquiries as we answer calls from prospects asking how they heard of the business. So they'll be able to measure whether it was successful. This is the question number 2 that they asked. So how will it enhance the core skills and competitiveness of your business? And in, again, under 200 words, this is only 98, but this was a successful application. Don't ever copy somebody else's application. So don't copy this, but I'm just giving you examples of it. Basically, you know, having something like having a strong online presence, particularly a website, can make or break for generating more revenue. An upgrade of the website will increase credibility and enable the company to stand out from the competition. A new website will enable the company again to add new content and increase our chances of getting more leads. A new SEO optimized website will give us more chance of showing up in Google search results, therefore increasing our customer base. A new website will increase internal productivity by freeing up time to spend on assisting clients through the insurance process. So again, they're showing that by having a website, that it frees up their time, which they're spending a lot of on here. Now, be original, be realistic. Unrealistic may weaken the strength of your application, and be truthful and as accurate as you possibly can. So as I said, if you're going to say that you're going to, your staff levels are going to increase, I'll show you in the next example that how is that going to increase. So with this opportunity of getting more leads, that would lead to the addition of extra staff. So that's how you will take on new staff, because you have more leads coming in. So revenue, gross profit, employees, we talked about it. Be realistic. Unrealistic, as I said, will weaken your application. And be truthful and as accurate as you can, because you may have to provide evidence. So go and get yourself a couple of quotes before. So the minute the grant funding comes out, get a couple of quotes, make sure that they meet the guidelines, whether they have to be a certain value or not. There was a recent grant that asked for you to spend, they were giving you 10,000, but you had to put 10,000 in yourself. So you need to show that the quote was for over 20,000, so that you can show that you're actually paying the additional funding. And then they asked, in under 200 words, how will the grant assist with growth? So an example of this, and again, this is under 200, as you can see there. So a new website is critical to helping a modern business grow. Views, leads, subscribers, opportunities, and sales will all come from a well-designed website. We will convert visitors to our website into leads by adding a call to action. New content will increase sales conversions. We will include pages with pictures, descriptions of the services we offer, and some testimonials from customers. We will also link reviews from for our business from Google, showing how credible we are, and include testimonials. As our business scales up, opportunities for additional staff will arise. So that's how you can put it. You don't have to say, how many new staff you're going to have unless they actually ask for that. You can say that as we scale and as we become more competitive and our leads grow, the more opportunity that gives us to take on staff in the community. Diversity. So sometimes they ask you things like this because they're always keen, the government's committed to funding appropriate services that recognise and embrace diversity. So you might get questions thrown in for this, like women in business, people with a disability, young people, seniors, culturally and linguistically diverse. So make sure that you are addressing that if you see it. It's a keyword phrase again that they're in there. So if they're saying that how will this help with improving more women in business, then address that in your application process. So supporting documentation. You're going to need to submit the application with your supplier name, your ABN, your contact details. So as I said, you have to get the stat deck. Please get that done before that you actually get there on the day. And a stat deck actually remains, you don't have to keep getting it done if the information on it remains the same. So if you apply for another grant, then, and I'll show you an example of one, you can use the same JP stat deck as well. Get prepared. I really can't stress this enough. And when you've sent in your application, make sure you check everything. So that's why I say put it into a Word document. Get somebody to check it over before you check there's no massive typos in there. Check that they understand it themselves. So give it to somebody that maybe doesn't understand what you're trying to do and see if it makes sense to them. And then they will email you a receipt. So check your junk folder if you don't get it. And then if you can't find it in your junk folder, then check with the Department of Small Business Employment and Training to see if something's gone wrong there. Check, check, check. So this is what a stat deck looks like. It has to be signed by a JP and it's valid as long as the information in it is true. So you insert your name, your address, your role and your business name, and then it says something like, I do solemnly and sincerely declare that I am the business owner or director of the business above, and at the time of applying for the Business Basics Grant Programme, the business has an expected turnover of 300,000 or less for the current financial year, and it meets all grant eligibility criteria outlined in the Business Basics guidelines. So to be valid, that has to be signed and approved by a witness. So, and you can actually find a full list of approved witnesses on the Queensland Government Attorney General's website. So, but as I said, most shopping centres have them. So I would actually just check there because that would be your easiest place to go. Okay, now I know that's a very short introduction. That is basically all I can teach you about grant applications. It is as simple as that if you're applying for the smaller grants. Does anybody have any questions on anything I've shown you there about how to write things, how to prepare them, anything else that might come up? Does anybody currently looking for a grant that wants further information? Just pop it in the chat for me and let me know if there's anything else that I can help you with. Okay, well, I can't see any other questions coming up. So if anybody does want to go through a specific grant application, you are welcome to book a one-to-one session with me and we can look through the grant application together. Let me stop sharing my screen for a second because I do actually have another recent grant, and I'm just going to find it for you and just show you. Sorry, bear with me a second. Just trying to get hold of my folders here. And I'm just going to find. So I can give you an example of another grant. So here, this is a document, and I'll share my screen with you again, that I helped someone apply for recently. We don't know if they've been successful yet, but let me just bear with me a second while I reshare my screen. So this was, this is a home-based business. So when it asks about your business, it was 100 words. And this was Body Sculpt is a home-based health and beauty business providing treatments that not only remove fat permanently, tighten skin and reduce the cellulite, but also helps with reducing inflammation and assisting in injury recovery. This is achieved by using latest scientifically proved. So they've given a description. It targets men and women of all ages. Then we wanted short description, 200 words. Now this was actually 190 words, this one. So the short description, the company is a home-based health and beauty business where revenue growth and gross profit relies on a range of digital marketing tools. This project involves the redesign and development of the Body Sculpt business website. In today's competitive market, our website is the digital face of our business. It is what drives conversion and encourages engagement to grow our business. The key to a successful website is usability and utility with an organized visual layout. The website must be mobile friendly and easy to navigate with high quality SEO friendly informative content and easy contact options. The funding will be used to create a new site structure, adding additional pages to cover services offered, SEO optimization, new SEO friendly content, booking and payment systems, new photography and a blog section. In addition to this, we'll be adding a new CRM system to free up valuable administration time so that we can focus more on clients, keeping them well informed and updated, adopting best practice and giving them great value for money. The website will reflect our brand and credibility, adding testimonials and reviews to establish the credibility. And that was 190 words. So that's just under the 200 words. So you can see it's just a bit more detailed than the previous version that you saw. And then how will it enhance core skills? This is 200 words. It's actually 170. But in today's competitive market, it's important to give new and existing clients timely and relevant information. An upgrade to our website will enable us to restructure the information, add new mobile compatible SEO friendly pages, include contact forms and free up valuable administration time so that we can focus on clients and help them through the initial decision-making process to generate sales. Through on-page search engine optimization and SEO-friendly content, we will become more competitive, increasing our search engine ranking, targeting the right audience, increasing online traffic, generating new leads, and positively increasing revenue growth. The website refresh will enable the addition of new written, including visual content and blogs to target specific keywords so that when our ideal customer is searching for our services on search engines like Google, we will appear alongside our competition. A landing page with call to actions will be added to convert visitors. The site will be made accessible to everyone with addition of alt tags, text resizing, videos, and color contrast. Now that's important to mention because if they ask you about disability, do some research on what you need to put on a website to make the website viewable for people with disabilities. So whether they're partially sighted, whether they have colour issues and so on. So have a look at that information too, do your research. And then the other question was, and this is 170 words, our business, how will the grant assist to grow revenue? So it's the same question again, so as the previous application. So our business needs to be where our customers are, having an all-inclusive SEO optimized website with contact forms and downloadable information will attract and engage with our target market and generate more leads. The lead generation process starts when a visitor clicks on a call to action located on one or more of our pages or blog posts. The call to action will lead them through to a landing page where we will collect the visitor's details. Our analytics, using analytics, we will be able to see our top performing pages and blogs, enabling us to learn about the buyer's behavior. The landing pages will help to generate more leads and leverage the traffic to reach more clients and thus grow our business. The introduction of a customer relationship management tool will enable easy communication with our clients, and the addition of social sharing icons will assist with reaching a wider audience. A growth in new clients will enable the business to employ additional local staff and increase revenue as we scale up the business. Okay, so that's another example of how to write it. So we've got a question here. What do they say when what do they mean when they say turnover less than 20 million? It's just got to be less. So even if it's $5 less, as long as it's less than 20 million, you're fine. If it's over 20 million, so like in the case of it's got to be under 300,000, you could have 299,000 as long as it is under that 300,000 threshold. So as I said, if anybody wants to help, I wrote both of those with the clients at the time and talked them through the best way to include the information that they wanted. But I do suggest that if it's something, I mean, obviously digital marketing is my area of expertise, so it's easy for me to write that and be on point with the keywords that we need, and to actually stress what's important in a website and how it does help you to grow. So make sure you go to somebody that can give you that information when you're writing them. But as I said, if you get stuck, then you're welcome to book a 1-hour session with myself or one of the other advisors, and we can help you through the process. What if it's 0 to 40,000? Then just be in between 0 to 40,000. That's fine. You just got to make sure that you are within those guidelines. So you could be 5,000 or you could be 39,000. Doesn't matter as long as you're between the 0 and 40,000. You're welcome. As I said, if you do want to have any further help, we can do that privately. So through the Digital Solutions Program. You'll get a recording of this so that it will be online for you to have a look at. That usually goes up within 48 hours. And one thing I would avoid trying to do is, there's lots of grant writers out there. Unless you're really bad at writing, then have a go at doing it yourself, because they like to see that the application has come from the business itself and not been professionally written. You can always get them checked, put it together and get them checked. So I run these workshops all the time. So if you want to come through, and I do a content writing workshop, so if you want to learn more about how to write content, then sign up to one of the content working seminars and workshops and do it that way. And then we can check the information for you. Okay. You're welcome, Paul. Good luck with everything. I hope you all go ahead. The biggest thing I can stress is be prepared and make sure you're ready on the day. Don't leave it. Be ready there on your computer at 2:30 or 1:45, the time that they want, before they want you to start applying. And as I said, it really is like, so if they've said they want you to have a Smarty Grants account, do that. Do you do this workshop? Is that, I can't read the phrase, Marion. Oh, face-to-face. Yes, I can do. Yes. So if you want me to, I don't do, this is delivered as a webinar at the moment. Now, if you want to do a workshop with me, or as I said, you want to have an hour session with me, then you can book it through the Digital Solutions Program, even a half-an-hour session. So get your details ready and then just come through and we'll check everything for you. Okay. Okay, everybody. Well, have a lovely day. And I do workshops regularly, so even if you get the application ready and then you come into one of the other details, you know, at one of the other workshops and want to ask me details about this, if we did for example, the content writing one, then I can, you know, answer some questions at the end of a workshop. And yes, you can, Marsha, absolutely. My email is sarah@businessstation.com.au. and you'll find my details on the Business Station website. And if anybody does need any help with the actual quotes and things like that, I can also point you in the direction of where you can get quotes from. I can give you a quote if you need it for some digital skills and so on. So if you need a second quote for something, just let me know. You're welcome. Good luck, everybody, and have a lovely day.